God is the strength in which I trust. 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 Thank you all so much for joining me today and studying A Course in Miracles, Workbook for Students. We're ready for Lesson 47 in the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles. Here on Friday, February the 16th, 2024. God is the strength in which I trust. And before we read the lesson, let's go back and look at our text reading first. And we're in Chapter 6, The Lessons of Love. And we're ready for Roman numeral 5, The Lessons of the Holy Spirit. And I'm Miracle Teacher Miracle Teacher Forgiveness Willie. I usually call myself Miracle Willie, Forgiveness Teacher of the Ozarks. Thank you all. William Edward Perkins is my actual name that my folks gave me. Anyway, Willie is short for that. The Lessons of the Holy Spirit. Like any good teacher, the Holy Spirit knows more than you do now, but he teaches only to make you equal with him. You had already taught yourself wrongly, having believed that what was not true. You did not believe in your own perfection. Would God teach you that you had made a split mind when he knows your mind only as whole? What God does know is that his communication channels are not open to him, so that he cannot impart his joy and know that his children are wholly joyous. Giving his joy is an ongoing process, not in time, but in eternity. God's extending outward, though not his completeness, is blocked when the sonship does not communicate with him as one. So he thought, my children sleep and must be awakened. Paragraph 2. How can you wake children in a more kindly way than by a gentle voice that will not frighten them, but will merely remind them that the night is over and the light has come? You do not inform them that the nightmares that frighten them so badly are not real, because children believe in magic. You merely reassure them that they are safe now. Then you train them to recognize the difference between sleeping and waking, so they will understand they need not be afraid of dreams. And so when bad dreams come, they will themselves call on the light to dispel them. A wise teacher teaches through approach, not avoidance. He does not emphasize that you must of what you must avoid to escape from harm. He does not emphasize what you must avoid to escape from harm, but what you need to learn to have joy. Consider the fear and confusion a child would experience if he were told, do not do this because it will hurt you and make you unsafe. But if you do that instead, you will escape from harm and be safe, and then you will not be afraid. It is surely better to use only 3 words. Do only that. This simple statement is perfectly clear, easily understood, and very easily remembered. Do only that. The Holy Spirit never itemizes errors because he does not frighten children, and those who lack wisdom are children. Yet he always answers their call, and his dependability makes them more certain. Children do confuse fantasy and reality, and they are frightened because they do not recognize the difference. The Holy Spirit makes no distinction among dreams. He merely shines them away. His light is always the call to awaken, whatever you have been dreaming. Nothing lasting lies in dreams, and the Holy Spirit, shining with the light from God Himself, speaks only for what lasts forever. To have, give all to all. So the lessons of the Holy Spirit, the first lesson is to have, give all to all. When your body and your ego and your dreams are gone, you will know that you will last forever. Perhaps you think that this is accomplished through death, but nothing is accomplished through death, because death is nothing. We need to learn that one. Nothing is accomplished in death, for death is nothing. Everything is accomplished through life, and life is of the mind and in the mind. The body neither lives nor dies, because it cannot contain you who are life. If we share the same mind, you can overcome death because I did. Death is an attempt to resolve conflict by not deciding at all. Like any other impossible solution the ego attempts, it will not work. God did not make the body because it is destructible and therefore not of the kingdom. The body is the symbol of what you think you are. It is clearly a separation device and therefore does not exist. The Holy Spirit, as always, takes what you have made and translates it into a learning device. Again, as always, He reinterprets what the ego uses as an argument for separation into a demonstration against it. If the mind can heal the body, but the body cannot heal the mind, then the mind must be stronger than the body. Every miracle demonstrates this. Paragraph 3. I have said that the Holy Spirit is the motivation for miracles. He always tells you that only the mind is real, because only the mind can be shared. The body is separate and therefore cannot be part of you. To be of one mind is meaningful, but to be of one body is meaningless. By the laws of mind, then, the body is meaningless. Paragraph 4. To the Holy Spirit there is no order of difficulties in miracles. Very important point. Very first principle of miracles in the beginning. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. To the Holy Spirit there is no order of difficulty in miracles. This is familiar enough to you by now, but it has not yet become believable. Therefore you do not understand it and cannot use it. We have too much to accomplish on behalf of the kingdom to let this crucial concept slip away. It is a real foundation stone of the thought system I teach and want you to teach. You cannot perform miracles without believing that order of difficulties in miracles is meaningless. There are no orders of difficulties in miracles. You cannot perform miracles without believing it, because it is a belief in perfect equality. Only one equal gift can be offered to the equal sons of God, and that is full appreciation. Are you feeling full appreciation? Full appreciation, or do you still have some people you want to avoid, dislike, things they do that you don't like, little grievances? Well, we're trying to get beyond those now in our practices. You cannot perform miracles without believing it, because it is a belief in perfect equality, that there's no order of difficulty in miracles. Only one equal gift can be offered to the equal sons of God, and that is full appreciation. Nothing more and nothing less. Without a range, order of difficulty is meaningless, and there must be no range in what you offer to your brother. 5. The Holy Spirit who leads to God translates communication into being, just as He ultimately translates perception into knowledge. You do not lose what you communicate. The ego uses the body for attack, for pleasure, and for pride. The insanity of this perception makes it a fearful one indeed. The ego uses the body for attack, for pleasure, and for pride. The insanity of this perception makes it a fearful one indeed. The Holy Spirit sees the body only as a means of communication. And because communicating is sharing, it becomes communion. Perhaps you think that fear as well as love can be communicated and therefore can be shared. Yet this is not so real as it may appear. Those who communicate fear are promoting attack. An attack always breaks communication, making it impossible. Egos do join together in temporary allegiance, but always for what each one can get separately. The Holy Spirit communicates only what each one can give to all. The Holy Spirit communicates only what each one can give to all, which should be full appreciation. He never takes anything back because he wants you to keep it. Therefore, his teaching begins with the lesson. The Holy Spirit's teaching begins with the lesson. To have, give all to all. To have, give all to all. This is a very preliminary step and the only one you must take for yourself. It is not even necessary that you complete the step yourself, but it is necessary that you turn in that direction to realize that you owe whatever love you have towards everyone equally. To have anything, you have to give all to all, is what he's saying. That's how we keep it, is by giving it away. Having chosen to go that way, you place yourself in charge of the journey. Okay, let's read that again. To have, give all to all. This is a very preliminary step and the only one you must take for yourself. To have that willingness to give all to all. In order to receive anything of any true value, it must be something you're willing to give to everyone. It is not even necessary that you complete the step yourself. You don't have to be perfecting it, but you do have to turn in that direction. But it is necessary that you turn in that direction. Having chosen to go that way, you place yourself in charge of the journey, where you and only you must remain. This step may appear to exacerbate conflict rather than resolve it, because it is the beginning step in reversing your perception and turning it right side up. This conflicts with the upside-down perception you have not yet abandoned, or the change in direction would not have been necessary. Some remain at this step for a long time, experiencing very acute conflict. Well, let's not let that be us. Let's look at that again. This step of turning in the direction to have, give all to all. This step may appear to exacerbate conflict rather than resolve it, because it is the beginning step in reversing your perception and turning it right side up. Because in the beginning we come from that perspective that if you give something, you're going to be losing it yourself. But he's trying to get us to see that's the kingdom of heaven's opposite, that what you give is what you are receiving for yourself, because there's just one of us. Might be even other reasons other than just that, but that's the main point that I see in it. This step may appear to exacerbate conflict rather than to resolve it, because it is the beginning step in reversing your perception and turning it right side up. This conflicts with the upside-down perception you have not yet abandoned, or the change in direction would not have been necessary. Some remain at this step for a long time, experiencing very acute conflict. At this point, they may try to accept the conflict rather than take the next step toward its resolution. Having taken the first step, however, they will be helped. Once they have chosen what they cannot complete alone, they are no longer alone. Okay, now, before we go read God is the Strength in Which I Trust, what's going on around the world today? Daytona Pole Day. It's the trials begin at the Daytona Speedway in Florida. 200 laps for a Daytona 500. It's 2.5 mile speedway. Do a Grouch a favor day. You ought to do something nice to people when they're feeling a little down, and some people habitually are depressed and discouraged, and we call them grouches. But we need to look beyond it and see inside that they're the oneness with us, and that we need to offer them the help that they're really asking for. Elizabeth Peratrovich Day, and she was an Alaskan, she helped to end discrimination to the natives in Alaska. Innovation Day, Kyoto Protocol Day, and day to celebrate reducing environmental pollution. National Almond Day, the Prunus amygdalus, grows in warm, dry climates that have mild winters. National Caregivers Day, the Hale's Best almond. Let me mention about that. It does grow in Zone 6 and a lot of other temperate, but it's a cross between an almond and I think it's some sort of peach. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, there are some almonds that Hale's Best will grow in if you're looking for almonds. And while we're talking about plants just for a minute, it is time to be starting your tomatoes and a lot of plants that are going to go out in the garden. And all your cold weather plants you can be starting and could have already been starting. Broccoli, cauliflower, all your brassicas, your cruciferous vegetables they call them. Anyway, just a note. National Tartar Sauce Day. Tartar sauce is mayonnaise and either relish of chopped pickles, lemon juice, and then some kind of spices, usually tarragon and dill. Tim Tam Day, that's an Australian little biscuit bar, chocolate biscuit bar. World Information Architecture Day. And Trentberry out of edible landscaping. And the Trentberry, it says that it is a Vaccinium species cross. And the best I could find, I did a little trying to find which species it is. It is a Vaccinium genus. And I think it's a Corian bossum and a Staminium cross, but I am not sure about that. It says the Trentberry, huckleberry southern type, vigorous and adaptable, a heavy producer of large glossy black fruit, about 1.5 inch in diameter. Wow, pretty good size. About 1/2 inch in diameter. I was saying 1.5. Boy, that's big. 1/2 inch diameter, 1/2 inch. Extremely ornamental when the berries start to ripen, with red, green, and black berries ripening over a long season. Ripens with powder blue. Leaves have good fall color. Height 6 feet. Native, selected by Glenn Melcher of Pineville, Louisiana. Space 6 to 8 foot circles, zone 6 through 10. So it's a huckleberry, is what I'm getting from that. And then in Permaculture for Beginners by Carrie Mitchell, we're in Chapter 3, Designing Your Permaculture Garden. And this next section, she just talks about it. She's really introducing the idea of the principles of permaculture emulating nature. So, think about permaculture is you're trying to tune things up to where nature is your guide. Like the leaves fall off the trees in the fall, creates a mulch to cover the bare soil. So try to duplicate that kind of thing in your garden if you're just trying to take permaculture principles and use them in your garden. If you're trying to do an actual food forest, which is the ideal or the goal, I guess you'd say, of a world of natives of plants worldwide that are permaculture gardens. It's where we try to get things back in harmony, organically balanced. Okay, well, let's go look at our lesson now. God is the strength in which I trust. If you're trusting in your own strength, you have every reason to be apprehensive, anxious, and fearful. What can you predict or control? What is there in you that can be counted on? What would give you the ability to be aware of all the facets of any problem and to resolve them in such a way that only good can come of it? But that's what the Holy Spirit does. What would give you the ability to be aware of all the facets of any problem and to resolve them in such a way that only good can come of it? What is there in you that gives you the recognition of the right solution and the guarantee that it will be accomplished? Of yourself, you can do none of these things. To believe that you can is to put your trust where trust is unwarranted and to justify fear, anxiety, depression, anger, and sorrow. Who can put his faith in weakness and feel safe? Yet who can put his faith in strength and feel weak? God is your safety in every circumstance. His voice speaks for him in all situations and in every aspect of all situations, telling you exactly what to do to call upon his strength and his protection. There are no exceptions because God has no exceptions. And the voice which speaks for him thinks as he does. If we had more time, I'd go back and read that paragraph 3 again. But God is your safety in every circumstance. He'll show you what to do. Just listen. You don't have to use attack. Today, we try to reach past your own weakness to the source of real strength. 4 5-minute practice periods are necessary today, and longer and more frequent ones are urged. Close your eyes and begin as usual by repeating the idea for the day. Then spend a minute or two in searching for situations in your life which you have invested with fear, dismissing each one by telling yourself, God is the strength in which I trust. So just look at your inner fears and let them go by saying, God is the strength in which I trust. Now try to slip past all concerns related to your own sense of inadequacy. It is obvious that any situation that causes you concern is associated with feelings of inadequacy, for otherwise you would believe that you could deal with the situation successfully. It is not by trusting yourself that you will gain confidence, but the strength of God in you is successful in all things. The recognition of your own frailty is a necessary step in the correction of your errors, but it is hardly a sufficient one in giving you the confidence which you need and to which you are entitled. You must also gain an awareness that confidence in your real strength is fully justified in every respect and in all circumstances. You can trust God. In the latter phase of the practice period, try to reach down into your mind to a place of real safety. You will recognize that you have reached it if you feel a sense of deep peace, however briefly. Let go all the trivial things that churn and bubble on the surface of your mind and reach down and below them to the kingdom of heaven. There is a place in you where there is perfect peace. There is a place in you where nothing is impossible. There is a place in you that miracles can occur. There is a place in you where the strength of God abides. And during the day, repeat the idea often. God is the strength in which I trust. Use it as your answer to any disturbance. Remember that peace is your right because you're giving your trust to the strength of God. Peace is your right because you're giving your strength to the strength of God. Okay, well, we'll do a little short meditation. We don't have time to do 5 minutes today together, but you can get started and then turn off the video and be about your Father's business. Remember, the first part of your 5 minutes, 4 times today, but the first part of the 5 minutes, say, look for the things that you are a little bit apprehensive about or afraid of. And worried about and say, God is the strength in which I trust, and dismiss it. And then at the latter part of your 5 minutes, simply try to sink into a peaceful place, the kingdom of heaven. God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. Remember that peace is your right, because you're giving your trust to the strength of God. God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. Now you do a few. Look inside. God is the strength in which I trust. And then sink down into peace. Remember that peace is your right, because you're giving your trust to the strength of God. God is the strength in which I trust. And then also remember to give all to all, to give all to all. God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. And our word for peace today is in the Rapanui language of Chile is Kiba-kiba. Kiba-kiba. It's also pava, but we'll use Kiba-kiba today. But pava is also a word for peace in the Rapuni or Rapunii, Rapanu, I think. It's of Chile language. Kiba-kiba. So thank you all so much for joining me today. Be sure to do many times today, tell yourself, God is the strength in which I trust. Be sure to do at least 4 5-minute meditations where you release God, find those things you're apprehensive about and let them go. And then enter into the peace, the holy instant. Kiba-kiba. God is the strength in which I trust. Kiba-kiba.